Welcome back to Movie Recapper. Today I will show you an activity, experience film from 2015, named Chronicles of the Ghostly Tribe. Spoilers ahead. Keep an eye out and fare thee well. Ordinarily, as the years progressed, abnormal things have been tracked down in China during different unearthings. From bones that have a place with no known animal, not even dinosaurs, to thousand-year-old bodies with the skin tissue still flawless. One of the researchers included is Professor Yang Chalin, who, in 1978, initiates Post 749 in the Kunlun Mountains, an exceptional group devoted to explicitly figuring out the mysterious behind this large number of baffling disclosures. It is currently 1979, and Hu Bai is one of the many warriors buckling down in the uncovering. The occupation is debilitating and he frequently tumbles from sheer exhaustion. However, the teacher's girl Yang Ping is dependably there to help him and assist him with recovering his solidarity. At the point when Hu Bai met her, interestingly, he felt like she had known her for quite a while. Both of them have a bond that makes his companion Kang Sun desirous. After the group recovers one more Goliath skull from an obscure monster, the cavern starts shaking and out of nowhere it detonates, obliterating their entire camp. The warriors, drove by official Han Jiuyang, prepare their weapons to retaliate. Yet the only ones to emerge from the cavern are Professor Yang and a few laborers. This episode is certainly not a total misfortune, be that as it may. A way has opened inside the mountain, so they'll send a unique group to go with Professor Yang to explore. Yang Pin promptly volunteers to help her father, and that makes Hu Bai volunteer too, which thus makes Kang Sun show up as well. The group enters the cavern and follows the found way until they go over a monster gap, which they continue to move down while seeing a butterfly-like animal zooming around them. They in the end come to a frosty stage with one more abyss in the center, so they move down this one too until they find a neglected cavern filled to the edge with unusual fossils. Subsequent to meandering around for some time, they find a leaf that emerges at a direct inverse mountain from the one they entered. There, Professor Yang lets Hu Bai know that legends express some place in this space is the entryway of an old realm having a place with a confined mystery government. Their talk is out of nowhere hindered when different warriors let them know of a vital find, a humongous pawprint on the snow, while Han and the remainder of the group wrap up introducing an entryway at the mountain entrance. Professor Yang and his men start following the path of pawprints to find the monster that left them, which is close by. The animals they see as first, be that as it may, are the little flying folks from the cavern. However, presently they take a gander at them all the more intently. They notice they aren't butterfly-like, they're odd-looking bats. Nothing happens when they land on a sleeve, yet one of the troopers gets one with his exposed hand, and that ends up being a misstep. He unexpectedly begins igniting with a blue fire at a disturbing rate until all in all nothing remains except for his bones. Before long they're encircled by these bats and the officers start shooting to frighten them off. However, they lose a couple of men to the fire at any rate. Every one of the shots alarm the monster and make it disappear, yet its unexpected weighty turning causes a torrential slide. The party begins running down the mountain as the snow swallows a significant number of the warriors, yet there comes where they can't continue onward. There's a void before them. They have no other decision except for to bounce. However, prior to doing as such, Professor Yang ties Hu Bai and his girl together. The pair falls and their rope stalls out on a piece of ice, and in the wake of moving from one side to another multiple times, the grinding makes the rope break and both of them fall. Indeed, even months after the fact, while dozing on a train, Hu Bai fails to really see how he endures that fall, particularly subsequent to losing much more men that wind up dead by hitting their heads or getting wounded by the ice. At the point when he stirs at the lower part of the void, there are just 4 party individuals left: Hu Bai, Professor Yang Ping, and Kang Sun. In the wake of recovering however many fallen supplies as would be prudent, the now tiny group illuminates a few lights and proceeds with their investigation. They go over a gigantic cavern with a tall pinnacle inside, encompassed by building ruins that Professor Yang calls the Sacred Palace of Kunlun. The pinnacle is said to have 9 levels where devil animals have been fixed, and it's what Professor Yang has been searching for this time. He gets kneeling down in an indication of veneration, then illuminates a candle holding up at some kind of special stepped area, which makes a freaky, tall fire that makes a lot of bats appear and encompass the pinnacle with a red sparkle. Teacher Yang accepts Hu Bai and his girl can open the pinnacle entryway, so he sends them, and when they stroll close by, the teacher's hypothesis shows to be valid. The entryway opens and starts shining as a light shows up at the highest point of the pinnacle, gathering a lot of spirits that occupy the room. However, every last bit of it out of nowhere disappears when Kang's son puts out the disliking opening the doors of Satan. The cavern is starting to implode, so the gathering gets moving before they are arrived at by the stones or the bats, who are presently pursuing them. Kang's son penances himself and stays behind to act as trap, winding up dead by the bats' blue fire and taking out a lot of them when his body detonates. There's as yet a lot of bats free, however, and they pursue the leftover triplet, who essentially have put some distance between them. They track down an exit, however they can't go a lot further. It takes them to a high edge behind a cascade. The bats make up for lost time, and as Hu Bai attempts to fend them off with a light, they oversee Tun tear into him and light a fire on his shoulder. Yang Ping drives him over the edge, so he falls into the water to put the chute, and she and her father rapidly follow. Hu Bai and Yang Ping think of each as other submerged, yet are immediately moved, separated by another Goliath dinosaur-like animal that catches Yang Ping in its mouth and removes her. Crushed, Hu Bai swims out of and advances back to base under frosty temperatures. The consume on his shoulder is dealt with while official Han lets him know they've found every one of the party's bodies aside from Yang Ping's and the teacher's. Hu Bai is the main survivor. He chooses to stop this life and get back, yet on the train ride, he continues to envision Kang's son is there with him and frustrating himself when the deception disappears. Hu Bai gets out at a train station close to the open country and is gotten by his new business Mr. Wang, uninformed that official Han and researcher Chen Dong are searching for him. It is 1982 now, and Hu Bai starts working at Mr. Wang's library, which makes for an extremely quiet life. At the point when they go to eat together, Mr. Wang takes him to a nearby cafe where Hu Bai is stunned to rejoin with cherished, lifelong companion Wang Kaixuan, who works there as a performer. Hu Bai suspects Mr. Wang has taken him there deliberately. While working at the library, Hu Bai finds a book of Professor Yang's exploration that even incorporates an outline of the evil presence tower. Making acknowledge opening it has forever been the teacher's objective, and he likewise has consistently realized Hu Bai and Yang Ping could get it done, which is the reason he attempted to protect them together. And in the meantime, at post 749, the wayfarers found a final resting place with a residing lady inside that very closely resembles Yang Ping yet calls herself Shirley. She appears to have a few secretive abilities that she have no control over except for no memory of Yang Ping, so for the time being, they'll keep her locked and under steady watch while they offer her treatment. Back to Hu Bai, he continues to get Professor Yang's books at the library with explicit pages set apart for him. With Wang Kaixuan's help, he becomes fixated on these legends and goes through months concentrating on them, assisting him with grasping the genuine story behind them. There used to be a humanoid race from the evil spirit's reality, whose predecessors came from Saturn. They're the replacement of both devil and man, and the pinnacle is their inheritance. There should be watches safeguarding the pinnacle, yet a long time back, this race vanished from Earth. Since people at last broke out from evil spirit's control, there are a few inquiries he can't in any case track down replies to. Nonetheless, similar to why he and Yang Ping could open the pinnacle, why the teacher needed to open it in any case, and who continues to send him this large number of books. After 3 years, in 1985, official Han is stunned to gain proficiency with his group has tracked down Professor Yang alive in the mountains, concealing inside a cavern. In the meantime, in West China, Oil City winds up under the assault of the strange Goliath monsters. They obliterate everything on their way, abandoning only demolishes. Teacher Yang lets Han know that this should be the result of having opened the pinnacle, so he goes to the area to research. This episode appears to have awoken Hu Bai's shoulder scar, what starts annoying him frequently, and his visit to the specialist makes him show up on the framework, which offers his area to Han. One evening, the shoulder torment gets areas of strength for so out of nowhere it gets a fire going on. Hu Bai's back, and he starts to show powers of his own, making each household item in the library float. Mr. Wang appears, regarding this as though it was completely regular, and makes sense of that in light of the bat assault, Hu Bai's blood has been debased by a satanic power that currently gives him drives however could drag him to damnation. Hu Bai doesn't see how Mr. Wang knows this, so he utilizes his own powers to change the library into an old burial chamber and uncover he's the defender of Prince Yi of Sulin country. There are defender spirits here, excessively like there had come back at the pinnacle, including Kang's sons. Mr. Want makes sense of that Prince Yi was Hu Bai's ancestor and he had been the one to lead humanity against the mechanically progressed evil presence race that had assumed control over Earth. Sovereign Yi utilized his own body to seal the pinnacle, and most evil spirits left the planet, albeit a couple of them stowed away and took human structure, in any event, going similarly as wedding people themselves. They need Hu Bai on the grounds that as a relative, he's the one in particular that can open the pinnacle and free the devils once more. At post 749, official Han is angry to discover that his group has lost Professor Yang, yet some unexpected news improves his temperament. Shirley has awakened and guarantees she has her recollections back, so she needs to go searching for her dad along with Hu Bai. Han goes to the library to select him, however Hu Bai will not get back in real life subsequent to seeing such a lot of death during the last mission. He rapidly alters his perspective in any case when he finds out about Shirley since he misses Yang Ping appallingly. Mr. Wang believes it's an ill-conceived notion for him to go when evil presences need to catch him to return the pinnacle, yet Hu Bai needs to comprehend how Yang Ping has reawakened, and presently the monster spirits are going after the ruler's burial place as well, so something should be done about it at the source. Hu Bai leaves the library with Wang Kaixuan, who wishes to help. They travel to northern China where they meet the group that will be searching for the teacher, Chen Dong, a lady called Cao Weiwei, a lot of troopers, and obviously, Shirley. Hu Bai can't quit crying when he sees her once more, however while she recollects his name, she acts rather icily towards him and demands to be called Shirley rather than Yang Ping. The group goes through the desert by utilizing camels. Following a couple of long stretches of harmony, they unexpectedly end up in a dust storm, so they ride away as quick as possible to abandon it. However, there's a little detail they don't see. The main motivation behind why the dust storm doesn't follow them any longer is that they cross an invulnerable power safeguard that fends the tempest off as they enter the remnants of Oil City. When they get off in a protected region, they understand they really lost a couple of men during their break, including Wang Kaixuan. This subsequent gathering is still in the center of the desert without their camels, so they're attempting to come to the well site they've found somewhere far off when abruptly, they're gone after by one of these devil animals. They split as they take off, and the evil presence kills one of the troopers as the remainder of the gathering comes to the well site, just to track down a second devil there. This evil spirit kills every one of the men aside from Wang Kaixuan and a companion, who track down a bike and advance into Oil City to rejoin with the remainder of the group, who has been investigating near and tracking down only destroys and bodies. Catching wind of the evil presences, Hu Bai needs to leave to keep away from another slaughter like it happened last time in the mountains, yet Chen Dong and Shirley need to remain and complete their central goal. There isn't a lot of opportunity to examine this, however, on the grounds that the evil spirits find them and the group should prepare to battle. They arm themselves and shoot the primary monster, thinking they've figured out how to kill it, then, at that point, they pursue the subsequent one. At the point when they pivot in any case, the first is no more. While the group battles the monsters, Shirley takes off to enter an unwanted school, and Hu Bai follows her there. He finds a lot of bodies dangling from the roof and an opening in the ground which he enters to find an underground passage that takes him to the ruler's burial chamber. There's an evil spirit there as well, which pushes Hu Bai and harms him, yet before it can go any farther, Shirley appears and subdues it, making it disappear. Then she utilizes her powers to cause Hu Bai's oblivious body to suspend into the casket, which she closes prior to leaving. Back in the neighborhood, more evil presences have shown up, so the group conceals in the most elevated floors of structures to shoot silver shots and rocket launchers from a far distance. They figure out how to hit a couple, yet most devils evade them and climb the structures to pursue them. Wei Wei figures out how to abstain from being viewed by imagining as a life-sized model, then she rushes to conceal inside a transport with Wang Kaixuan while they make an honest effort to endure the steady raises. A ruckus around town that has been pursuing her continues to toss at the vehicle. Hu Bai awakens inside the casket and is frantic to get out, yet he sees something mystical is going on. His injuries are shutting and mending at a fantastic speed. Mr. Wang's soul shows up before him, letting him know the casket will assist the sovereign with living in the future. Then, at that point, Hu Bai winds up falling through haziness and appearing before the pinnacle. There, he can at long last realize what has befallen Yang Ping. The monster that caught her carried her to the cavern and dropped her on the fire, which consumed her body and made it able for the devil sovereign to dominate. Presently Shirley is in charge of the evil presences and is releasing them around. After the monster is gone, Hu Bai approaches the pinnacle to converse with the sovereign's soul. Discovering that Yang Ping was the other individual that could open the entryway since she's her relative, she won't surrender her body, and calls attention to that killing her would kill Yang Ping too. Hu Bai swears he'll track down a way, and finding this entertaining, the sovereign sends him back to town. Finding the evil presence going after the transport, Hu Bai rapidly shoots it to free his companions, yet he can't really make a significant difference with Chen Dong, who is holding tight the edge of a rooftop. The devils continue to come after him, however Shirley needs him to open the pinnacle entryway, so she hops with all due respect, tossing a vehicle at the monsters to make them disappear. The ones going after their companions are still near and prepared to strike. Chen Dong is in any event, setting his firearm against his sanctuary to pick his own demise as opposed to giving his life to an evil presence. In any case, right now, Hu Bai investigates Shirley's eyes and acknowledges he won't ever get Yang Ping back, so he shoots her multiple times, making every one of the evil spirits break down and the pinnacle to disintegrate. Conceding Hu Bai is the only one with the ability to kill her, Shirley kisses him prior to falling oblivious and changing once more into Yang Ping. Hu Bai cries over her demise, yet Yang Ping out of nowhere talks and communicates how happy she's to see him once again, so Hu Bai gets her body and takes it to the ruler's casket, wanting to mend her. He sets down with her inside, and as he contacts her temple with his, he gets a dream of her recollections. Yang Ping had abilities since she was a small child, including the capacity to resurrect creatures, however her mom precluded them to utilize them. It was only after she saw her consume in blue fire that she comprehended her mom was a relative from the evil spirits that took a human structure and wedded typical individuals. For this reason, Professor Yang had been exploring the pinnacle for what seems like forever. He trusted one day he could save his girl from the predetermination that looked for her. Back in the cavern, the main motivation behind why they endure the fall was that Yang Ping had utilized her abilities to resuscitate them all. Before the association closes, Yang Ping lets Hu Bai know that she cherishes him and solicitations not to abandon attempting to track down her dad. Hu Bai regards this wish and leaves the desert with his group on the camels, prepared to continue to look, while a monster watches them from far off.